I want to spend a little time talking about probability, and this could be a really fun unit if we had the time. But I just want to touch on some basic probability types of things. First of all, you've done some probability in the past, but probability of an event occurring, and I'm just going to say the event is A, is the possible favorable outcomes to total outcomes. And I know you don't have this note sheet, but hopefully you can kind of get the gist of what's happening here. A spinner is divided into 5 colored sections that are not of equal size: red, blue, green, yellow, and purple. The spinner is spun several times, and the results are recorded below. So what happens here is I've spun, and I got red 6 times, blue 6 times, green 18 times, yellow 5 times, and purple 18 times. So I want to try to figure out the probability, based on these results, that the probability of the next spin will be purple. So one way you might see this is to say probability of purple. So the probability of purple can be written as a fraction, a decimal, or a percent. I'm going to start by writing the fraction. What's happened in the past is I've spun and got purple 18 times at a total of 53 spins. So the probability that it's purple is 18 over 53. I could also write this as a decimal. So we would do 18 divided by 18 divided by 53. So 0.3396 would be a way we could write the probability. Or if it asked us to write it as a percent, we would move the decimal 2 places. So I would see 33.96%. So you can see that if something is likely to happen on a scale, if it happens every time, or the probability is 1, we would say that it's likely. If it never happens, it's unlikely. If it happens half the time, we would say it's equally likely or unlikely. So this one is kind of between unlikely and equally likely or unlikely. So this could happen, but probably not real likely. Let's look at the next problem. Beo owns a small business selling used books. She knows that last week 20 customers paid cash, 26 paid debit card, and 13 paid credit card. Based on the results, what's the probability the next customer will pay with a debit card? So I'm looking for probability of a debit card. So I want to find how many ways it happened to be paid with a debit card out of the total ways. So I can see that a debit card was 26 ways out of the total number of ways, which is 26 plus 20 plus 13, which is 59 ways. So I could write that as a decimal, which is about 0.4406. So the percentage would be 44.06%. And this actually asked me to round to the nearest whole number. So this happens 44% of the time. Now, that's the probability. It's not for sure going to happen, but that's what should happen, theoretically. I could actually find the experimental probability by testing to see if that really happens. I do want to touch basis. Even though Delta Math doesn't talk about this, you might see this on the ACT. So if I wanted to find the probability that a debit card happened, I would say it's 26 out of 59. But if I was finding the odds about them paying with their credit card, when you're finding the odds, you're comparing the favorable to the not favorable. So the ways it could happen to the ways it didn't happen. So you can see that the odds that they pay with a debit card are 26 to 33. So probability is what I want to happen out of total ways it could happen. Odd is what I want to happen to ways that it won't happen. Here's the next example. A spinner is divided into 5 colored sections that are not equal size: red, blue, yellow, green, and purple. The spinner is spun several times and the results are recorded below. If the spinner is spun 200 more times, how many times would you expect it to land on blue? So I don't want to have to spin the spinner 200 times to get a good estimate of what could happen. I want to find the expected value. So I'm going to find the probability of what has happened, and I'm finding the probability of blue. So there are 8 times it's been blue out of a total of 58 spins. So the probability that it's going to hit blue is 8 out of every 58 spins. And if I want to find out how many times that happens for 200 spins, I'm going to multiply this times 200. So I can expect that it's going to happen approximately 27.58 times. And this actually says round to the nearest whole number. So we're going to say if I spin 200 times, about 28 times it should land on blue. Nathan has a bag that contains strawberry chews, lemon chews, peach chews. He performs an experiment. Nathan randomly removes a chew from the bag, records the result, and returns the chew to the bag. Nathan performs the experiment 51 times. Here's the results. If the experiment is repeated 900 more times, how many times would he get a strawberry chew? So I need to find the probability of strawberry. So it looks like he gets strawberry 30 times out of the 51 times. So that is the probability, 30 out of 51. And I want to know how many times that's going to happen if 900 more draws. So when I multiply that out, I get 529.41. So if I'm rounding to the nearest whole number, it's just going to be about 529 times we should expect that he would draw out that kind of chew.